Namaste, beloveds. This is Mother with Wisdom, and I just want to say that this is a video that is going to be on a subject that is near and dear to my heart as a women and children's advocate, as a survivor, as a woman of strength, as a woman who refuses to have her voice diminished or silenced. I'm speaking today um, in this video because there is so much going on right now, not only in the world, but in America. I live in America. Um, I am not Muslim. This is a statement of modesty for me. It is red. It is a statement dealing with passion, with sanctity, with blood, with sacredness of women and little girls. This is a show that is going to talk about sexuality in America. It's going to talk about the dysfunction that sex forces upon the masses when it is not, when the proper education is not present. I'm speaking of something very specific right now. Um, if you are American and if you're following American politics, you understand that there is a candidate in Alabama whose name is Roy Moore, who has been accused of child molestation, molesting little girls under the age of 14. The age of 14. And these women have come out about what he did to them and how it has affected their lives and the women that they have become because of it. And all of the angst, all of the injury, all of the self denial, self rejection, self hate that comes from being touched before you're ready, before you understand what sexuality, what your sexuality is, to have it defined and demeaned and described to you by someone who is supposed to be a guardian over you, a parent figure over you, a father figure over you, a mother figure over you, an uncle over you, someone who is supposed to be a caretaker to you. You are a child with a child mentality, regardless of how developed your body is, regardless of how intelligent you are. You are still a child with a child's body, a child's mind, and a child's sensibilities, unless you have been tampered with. And it is tampering with. There is no there is no proper way. There is no acceptable way. We are no longer a people that lives to the age of 20 and 30, where a man had to marry a child in order to produce a family because that woman could die in childbirth, or women didn't live that long, men didn't live that long. We are now in an age where we are living 90 plus, 80 plus, 70 plus, 60 plus. It is no longer acceptable behavior for a grown man to tamper, to touch a child in a sexual manner. that is deviance, that is dysfunction, that is detestable behavior. That has been a part of the old boy network for centuries, for centuries. Women and girls and young boys are not safe sexually when it comes to sexual predators because they have victims. They are to be made victims. They are to be victimized simply because they exist and simply because this old boy network feels that it has the privilege, that it has the godhood, that it was granted dominance over all, and thus it has the right to reach out and touch anything it so desires. And how dare anyone say you cannot touch that fruit? Beloveds, I am speaking as a survivor today. I was sexually abused from as far back as I can remember. Um, just sexual activities as a child. And then from 8 to 12 being sexually molested by a neighbor who was like a family member. And I've written of these things and I've spoken of these things many times before. And I speak them out, not to say, look at me, but to say, stand your ground, speak your truth, stand up and defend you, that child inside of you that nobody believes, that child inside of you that's crying, that's been betrayed, whose trust, whose innocence has been betrayed, who has been had their understanding of the world altered by someone else's lust, misplaced lust, lust for innocence, lust to take their light away, anger to show them that this world is not all that nice. Beloveds, we have so far to go in the understanding of our own psychology, our own chemistry, our own definition of what sexuality and what sexual relations should be. And it is going to be as diverse as we are, as diverse as fingerprints are. No one has the same fingerprint. No one has the same sexual desires, even though they may tend to belong in a similar or look similar. Thoughts, feelings, intent, the mm, the intensity of feeling is different for each of us. And just because you are feeling one way does not mean you get to inflict that upon another because you feel that you are superior to them, superior in age, or that it's right. It's not right to touch a child. A 14-year-old girl is still a child. I'm getting a little message saying that my storage is low. So this won't be a long video, beloveds. But I just want to put this out there again. with everything that's going on, the system right now is being raped and molested. And all of this, these old bones are coming up, these old skeletons that have been buried with the old boy network. Now that it is in the throes of dying, it is fighting back and it is pulling up all of these sights and sound bits for us to view and to look at and to understand that these things are not new. They have been going on for centuries. Women have been being touched, molested, raped, assaulted, denied citizenship, denied their human rights, seen as less than the divine design that carries and brings forth life on this planet. There's so much that I want to say and so much that needs to be said, and I hope that more women begin to speak up. I hope that more women begin to speak out. And I hope that society has enough sense to understand that each voice that comes with its own story, comes with its own truth, comes with its own values, comes with its own perspective. And you cannot lump them all in one category, sexual assault. You can't lump it all in one. You have to take these situations case by case because they are diverse. The intentions, the results, the dynamics are very different. You cannot equate what is going on with Representative Conyers with what is going on with Roy Moore. Roy Moore is being accused by several women. The number increases daily. He can't go to the mall in his town. Okay, and he's known as a Bible thumping Christian. He said he had the young girls' mothers consent to date them, and yet he picked them up around the corner or he came and got them from school. And Representative Conyers got on a woman, a female employee, because she didn't wear stockings. Or he singled her out because he may have saw something he thought was unbecoming to the office, and he tactfully or tactfully let her have it, you know. And beloveds, I worked in the Department of Commerce, okay, in Detroit, in a government position in a government building. It is stated in your hiring package that women have, if they're wearing dresses, they need to wear stockings. Yes, they do. Um, Representative Conyers is an elder. He comes from a generation where women were covered, you know. And for him, seeing a woman coming into the office with no pantyhose on or no stockings is in his from his generation, that's a loose woman. What is she trying to start? What is she trying to invoke? You have to understand why he zeroed in on this person. You have, like I said, case by case. And you can't lump them all together. It is not the same. And America is not understanding the division that is being created by this. America is not understanding the division that is being caused by the racial tensions. Division is setting in. Division is setting in because the old boy network is dying. It's on its deathbed. It's rattling. It's barely there anymore. And there are people fighting to keep it alive. There are people fighting to grab whatever they can to sustain it, to resuscitate it, putting more Roy Moore and people like Roy Moore. And I'm not just talking about political parties, I'm not talking about Republicans or Democrats. I'm talking about human beings who want to evolve into spiritual beings from a lower to a higher frequency. In order to do that, we must leave the old boy network behind. It is no longer acceptable. Women will no longer kowtow. Women will no longer beat ourselves up to be seen as human beings. We will no longer carry the shame and the guilt of being female, of having breasts, of having a behind, of having small waists or large waists or big round pretty bellies, and being told you're too fat and you're ugly because of it. You're worthless. You're stupid. You're lazy. We are life givers. We carry life in our wombs. The age of the divine feminine is reasserting herself. She is ready to sit back on her throne. And it was the old boy network who removed her from that throne in the first place, who removed her role from history, and she became what, Mary? A Holy Ghost? A Holy Ghost. The feminine divine became a Holy Ghost. Think about that. Think about that, beloveds. And I want you to think about this. That ghost has now returned to reclaim her throne, to right the wrongs that was done to her, to her children, to her daughters, to her granddaughters, to her nieces, to her aunties. And these men, these Putins, and these Trumps, and these Roy Moores, and everybody that supports them, you're in for a very rude awakening, because the consciousness is awakening and is being reborn and rebirthed. That feminine divine consciousness, the understanding that women are sacred, that we are the thrones, that you don't reach a point of power without some woman's energy, essence in you or behind you or beside you. And you need to embrace that truth, because that is what true strength is. It is the joint, it is combined, it is the union of the masculine and the feminine, the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine. And that creates a sacred age, a sacred child, a sacred new beginning, a sacred understanding. Everything is about reproduction. We need to be taught what it is to be responsible. We need to be taught what it is to be honorable. We need to be taught what it means to treat another body as you would treat your own. To see another child as you see your own child, regardless of his color, regardless of his eye color or his hair color or it's albino or it's disfigured or it's handicapped or it's a girl, baby, and you wanted a boy. There's so much that is shifting and that is changing right now in front of us, and we have to welcome it. We have to usher it in. We have to greet it. We have to deliver it. So if you are one of these people that thinks the Republican Party, the what's the word, preservance of the integrity, so to speak, of the Republican Party needs a Roy Moore in the Senate judicial seat, just so you can have that seat and that say and that vote, regardless of the integrity of the human being making that decision. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Because whether you know it or not, birds of a feather flock together. And when you put your energy with his energy, you are a witness with him. In the biblical sense, anyway. You bear witness. You testify to what he testifies to. You agree with the words that are coming out of his mouth. You stand before your creator and you say, this is how I dealt with your creation, my brothers and sisters. When you understand ma'at, when you understand justice, pure justice, not the blind kind, not the kind where a thumb can bear down and influence the weight of someone's values, their heart, their soul, their spirit. There is no truth in that. When you have lies, those lies go down into the marrow. It is an infection. It is a virus that has to be surgically removed with intent. Right now, we have situations going on that need precision. So many are looking for legal ramifications to catch up with things, but beloveds, parts and pieces are being put in place legally. That will bring about the death of American democracy. It's being eroded. It's being picked at. It's like the old boy network is saying, if I can't govern you, I'm going to fuck you up. And I'm going to give you to Putin. Because you thought I was so bad? Let me show you something. Beloved, history is here to learn from. You need to pick up a book. You need to go watch some old movies. You need to go and sit and talk with some elders. and ask them their opinions. Ask them their wisdom, their views. Get some insight into what you are seeing, into the season and the cycle that is being played out right now in your lifetime. What is required of you? What is required of you to help bring about the evolution of humanity? What is required of you to raise your own vibration, to see what is in front of you clearly, truthfully, and not with the eyes and ears and voices of those who only want to show you one way, their way, and offer you no choice, offer you no voice. Just do it this way because I said so. Don't work. Don't work. Look at where we are. Most of my speech and everything, most people like to put me in a category of Christianity, because I speak a lot of the Bible, and I use the Christ consciousness, and I use a lot of that language and ideology. And I do that simply because that was my foundation. That was my reference point. That was what led me to look into other things, and to not just from, I grew up Jehovah's Witness. I grew up with one perspective, theirs. And it was against the rules to dig outside of the Jehovah's Witnesses' references and their knowledge and their doctrines and their perceptions, because everything else was worldly. Everything else belonged to the world and not to those who lived outside of the world. So from a very young age, I knew myself to be different, and I was okay with that. But also, as I got older, I asked those elders, what does it mean in this Bible right here when it says this woman, if she was raped, if she didn't cry out, that she could be stoned, or that she was guilty because she didn't? Didn't make sense. How could my God say that when God knows the heart, the soul, the spirit? But yet men can't hear that. They don't know that. And so if a woman, a little girl, a young woman doesn't scream and cry and fight back, it didn't happen. It's her fault. I want you to understand this old boy philosophy that is here in 2017, still being shoved in our face. It's because the woman dressed like this. It's because she looked like this. It's because she did this. It's because she talked that way. She was asking for it. It was consensual. That's in your mind. That's in your mind. And it is in, when we allow something as far as the old boy network, locker room talk, and oh, boys will be boys. Boys need to be men. Men need to be fathers. Men need to be guardians. Men need to be protectors. They don't need to be predators. Little girls shouldn't have to be taught, or little boys, that if somebody touches you in your private areas, you come and tell me because that's wrong. We shouldn't have to have that conversation. We're talking on cell phones and using Wi-Fi, but yet we still have to teach our children that if somebody touches you, you need to, stranger danger. People of color are still teaching their children, this world will not like you because your skin is not white. You will be discriminated against because you are different. And we can see ourselves so advanced and have coming so far. But the truth is, beloveds, we still don't like ourselves. We prey upon each other. We prey upon ourselves. If we self-sabotage ourselves, what are we going to do to someone else? I am grateful that this period of time is ending. I'm glad that all of this is coming up. I'm glad the skeletons are coming up. I've always known them. I've always heard them. I've always seen them. Other people act like, oh, I don't see that. I'm blood. Oh, but secretly they know. They know so and so and so does this, and so and so and so does that, and so and so and so has a reputation of la-di-da-di. But their silence allows so and so and so to keep on doing what they're doing. And when it comes to justice, just because you didn't do it, don't mean that you don't have anything to do with it, or that it's not required of you, or it's not going to affect your karma. Guilt by association. Guilt by omission. I got a GED and I'm aware of these terms. I'm aware of what they mean to humanity. I'm aware of what they mean to me. We have such a long way to go, beloveds. And I'm going to get into some cards before um, this won't allow me to finish this video. And it's a short video. I'm going to try to keep it short. And there will be a couple of others, beloveds, following this, simply because my life has been so full lately, I'll put it that way, with everything that's going on, being an empath, feeling everything that's going on in the world, having several family issues, close family issues, health, just life. Life is really affecting us in so many different ways. And we are being used like a tennis ball back and forth. And it's wearisome. And to step back and to look at it all, it requires a lot of energy, beloved. So I haven't been as active, I guess is the word I'm looking for. So please bear with me. But like I said, I'm back. I'm back. And I'm ready. So I have the tarot deck from, well, it's not tarot, but it's Getting Into the Vortex, Esther Hicks. Here we go. And I'm going to pull a card from this now. Our opinions about our children can influence their behavior. And this is number 49, which is a 13, which is a 4. And it says, the more you see things in your child that you do not want to see, the more of that you will see. And so, the behavior that you elicit from your child is more about you than it is about your child. This is actually true of all of your relationships. But since you think about your child more than you do of most others, your opinion about your child plays a greater role in its behavior. Take it to heart, beloveds. Listen to what is coming up for you um, through this. Through this. I am still, like I said, I'm going to pull 3. I'm being three cards from this particular deck. I can get from an unwanted to a wanted relationship. Wow, this is so deep. This is so deep. Look at that, beloveds. 3 hands. Remember, I just said 3? The mother, father, child, divine feminine, divine masculine, and the divine child that brings about the new age, brings about the new understanding, the combination of the both, the evolution. And this card is number 39, which is 12, which is 3. And it says, as you walk away from one unpleasant situation, the law of attraction will bring another that feels very much like it, and usually quickly. You just cannot get there from there. To get to where you want to be, to that place of feeling better, you have to reach for alignment between you and you. Getting yourself feeling good before you take action is always the best process. For when you do not feel good, you cannot be inspired to any action that will solve the problem. So, beloveds, before you go and try to battle this old boy network and this system of things, this card is saying, work on yourself first. It's saying, get your health ready. It's saying, if you're going to fight, you've got to get yourself in fighting condition. You've got to increase your stamina. You've got to practice. You've got to learn the art of war. You've got to become the instrument of change that you want to wield. It has got to be so familiar to you, to your use, that it becomes a part of you. It becomes an extension of you. Okay, one more card from this particular deck. And I'm shuffling and moving them around, and a card just popped out. So we'll take that one. Attempting to control others attracts more to be controlled. Wow. Look at this card. This is number 16, which is a 7. Look at them. Each side, the glasses, they're one side pulling the vision. Think of magnifying it, or the other way around, beloveds. This is a very powerful card as well. Wow, that's very powerful. And it speaks of the law of attraction. Attempting to control others attracts more to be controlled. It is easy to understand how you would come to the conclusion that your path is feeling good is through influencing or controlling the behaviors of others. Beloveds, what I'm getting from this is the answer to the sexual situations that are going on. It is about control. The old boy networks uses sex as a means of control, as a means of feeling power and powerful. And it is because of things that have happened in their own life that they are not in control of, that they wish to dominate and control this in others. And the situations reproduce themselves. This is what this is saying. It is easy to understand how you would come to the conclusion that your to feeling good is through influencing or controlling the behaviors of others. So if you think feeling good for you means that you have to go and touch these little 14-year-olds, and in your mind, you're making them feel good. You're not taking their innocence away. You're not introducing them to something they are not emotionally, physically, mentally ready for. In your mind, you're making them feel good. You're doing them a favor. So they concede with it. They agree with it. You're not hurting them, is in your opinion. You are hurting them. Do not lie to yourself. But your attention to them brings more like them into your experience, meaning you came to stop now that you've decided, oh, I made her feel good, and that made me feel good. So I'm going to keep on doing this because it feels good. And I'm making others feel good. I'm introducing them to what feels good in life. A predator, predatory behavior, silencing, choking, pushing down, hurting, guilting, shaming, bullying, because those things happen to you. And in order for you to feel good, old boy network, you go about doing things in this manner, and it is generational. But the millennials are going to shut you down because they're not into that old boy bullshit. They will not accept it. They will not tolerate it. They will not be silent about it. And I am going to, let's see here. Excuse me 1 minute. There we go. I see that my computer cord is acting up, so give me a moment here while I do this. There we go. There we go. Again, beloveds, you simply cannot get to where you want to by attempting to control or eliminate the unwanted. You simply cannot get to where you want to be attempting to control or eliminate the unwanted. Wow. Okay. Mama is saying with this, wow. The more that we are focusing on this, we're magnifying it. We're magnifying it. We're blowing it up. We're magnifying it. In order to take the energy away from it the way we're feeding it, we have to feed and nourish what we want, not what we don't want. So this is about dismantling the old boy network. That is what I want. I am not magnifying what Roy Moore or any of them are doing. And from now on, this will be the lane that I go into. So I will be more mindful of the unwanted, of speaking so much about the unwanted, because what this card is saying is that it's giving it power. And we don't want it strong. We want it weak. We want to take its breath away from it. We want it dead. We want to bury it. We want to take it from the memory of women, children, of the existence, of the knowledge of humanity. We don't want this to keep going on and on and on. Okay. Message card from the animals, spirit guides. Let's see what it has for us. And I'm going to blow this because I don't think I cleaned it the last time. Okay. All right. Jumped out. Peacock. Peacock, peacock, peacock. Let yourself stand out and be noticed. And let's see what page Peacock is on. Let's see. That's on page 86, which is a 14, which is a 5. Okay, here we go. Peacock. Let yourself stand out and be noticed. It's time to step forward and stop hiding behind any of the facades that you've developed over the years. Although these personas have been highly adaptive and have helped you along the way, for which you can be grateful, there's more of you to express to the world, and it's ready to emerge. That is so powerful, beloveds. That is, we are more than the value of the old boy networks. We are so much more. We are more as a species, the human species, the human race. We are so much more than what divides us. We are what makes us similar. And that is what we need to start focusing more on. It is time to step forward and stop hiding behind any of the facades that you've developed over the years. And although these personas have been highly adaptive and have helped you along the way, for which you can be grateful, there's more of you to express to the world, and it's ready to emerge. There's a certain safety and comfort in being inconspicuous and always staying in the background. Yet, in playing it safe in this way, others don't have the opportunity to get to know who you really are, and you don't get to experience the richness and the textures that are possible by participating more fully in life. By remaining in the background, you not only alienate yourself from others, but often end up allowing others to choose for you. Doing so can make you feel like a passive victim of life. And beloved, that being a passive victim of life comes from not owning your own sovereignty, not even knowing that you are a sovereign being, that what you think and what you feel matters. It matters. You are so special. You are unique. You are the only one of you. Do not let someone make you feel less than, unworthy. Being noticed does have some risks. People may criticize or judge you, particularly if they're not used to you asserting yourself in such a way. Or you may judge yourself, which can be even harsher sentence. These are the most likely risks, but they're not actually very minimum. Excuse me. So shed any guilt